David Brooks once said that President Donald Trump has the wrong answers to all the right questions. And I've been thinking about that quote all week. I want to start by giving a little bit of an olive branch to many conservatives and Trump voters. President Biden and Democrats made an absolute mess of the immigration issue. Some politicians and members of the media put their heads in the sand about this during his term, but I did not. Biden oversaw historic, overwhelming levels of migrant crossings, a crisis that impacted cities as far away from the southern border as New York and Chicago. Those are huge cities with massive budgets, so you can imagine what it did to much smaller, poorer towns near the southern border. And that's to say nothing of the immigrants Biden worked to get here en masse through loopholes in our parole system and by inventing programs like the CBP-1 app. One could argue that Trump inherited a relatively stable economy that he's now disrupting with tariffs. One cannot argue that Trump inherited a functioning, stable, healthy immigration system. Indeed, immigration was a key issue that led to Trump's re-election, and in his first few months, he has had tremendous success continuing to reduce the number of illegal border crossings, which fell toward the end of Biden's term, and unwinding some of the unwise programs Biden implemented through executive fiat. If Democrats ever want to win another national election, they will eventually need to own this mistake and stake out better policy and political ground. Some liberals have started to grapple with this reality, but many have not. At the same time, identifying this problem, asking the right question, how do we fix it? It's not an excuse for coming up with a very bad answer. President Bukele's visit to the White House this week gave us an interesting look at how Trump gets his information about his administration's actions. I want to play a little clip here of an interaction between Stephen Miller and Donald Trump just to illustrate this.
And what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0.
In our favor.
In our favor, against the judicial court ruling.
Of course, this is not what happened. On Earth One, the Trump administration tried to block a district court order that directed them to facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia from El Salvador. The Supreme Court ruled without any dissents not to block the order, definitionally ruling against the Trump administration 9-0. In ordering the lower court to clarify its wording, the justices told U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas that she should remember the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs, and also clarify her use of effectuate. Can the court force El Salvador to do something? Should it merely oversee what the administration is doing and making sure they're trying, or something else? In essence, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration needed to correct its admitted error. Remember, the Trump administration conceded its mistake in court in sending Abrego Garcia to El Salvador and attempt to get him home unanimously. But it also left some room open for the Trump administration to prevail in the lower courts if it says it is tried but simply cannot bring Abrego Garcia back, which you can read as some kind of victory, but only if your intent is to openly defy a court order and leave Abrego Garcia rotting in a Salvadoran prison. That ambiguous zone of interpreting the government's responsibility is where we are now. In a post on X, Vice President J.D. Vance argued that Biden's immigration crisis has strained our country, that observing due process is a matter of resources, the public interest, the status of the accused, and that the media, that's us, is obsessing over an MS-13 gang member really because we want to demand his return for a third deportation hearing because they want the vast majority of illegal aliens to stay here permanently. He then poses a question. Ask the people weeping over the lack of due process what precisely they propose for dealing with Biden's millions and millions of illegals. And with reasonable resources and administrative judge constraints, does their solution allow us to deport at least a few million people per year? The administration is on incredibly poor legal footing here, but this argument, at least, has some compelling elements. It's a much stronger argument than we can't make them give him back and it's up to El Salvador, which are insulting to our intelligence. A lot of the context behind Abrego Garcia's deportation, the border crisis, the flow of unauthorized migrants, it is Biden's fault. There is a real question of how to best use our limited resources. Abrego Garcia would likely just be deported again if he were brought home, though not to El Salvador. Many people don't want anything about the immigration system Trump inherited to change or don't see a problem with it. Vance is right on all of those counts. But to frame Abrego Garcia's case as only about illegal immigration is just unbelievably dishonest. Nobody would be upset about a proven gang member being deported illegally. At least I wouldn't. Abrego Garcia very well might be a bad guy, or he may not be. The cop who claimed he was a gang member is the actual bad guy, maybe. I really don't know. And frankly, I don't really care. Our government violated a court order while effectively sentencing Abrego Garcia to life in one of the harshest prisons in the world, built for terrorists and the most dangerous gang members on the planet, without even accusing him of a crime other than coming here illegally. Now, it appears to be gleefully defying a Supreme Court ruling. That's what people like me are upset about. That's what Trump and Miller and Vance are dishonestly leaving out of their framing. Vance's argument is also alarming because it is dangerous. It turns due process into some optional, squishy requirement that can be observed or denied by our government based on what they say is possible with the resources they have or the public interest as they define it. Is that a can of worms Vance wants to open, that due process is now conditional? Does he or Trump ever imagine that Republicans will once again be in the near future in the political minority? Has that thought crossed their mind? If Vance's argument is that the government lacks the resources, then it can create them. This is the same administration currently proposing a $1 trillion with a T military budget, including up to $150 billion of new funding to the Pentagon, and it's paying the Salvadoran government $6 million to imprison Abrego Garcia and hundreds of others for a year. Why not put some of that money toward increasing the number of immigration judges to adjudicate these cases and clear the backlog? That's an argument I've been screaming into the void for years, including on this YouTube channel, and one I was thrilled to see pushed in the National Review this week. And it's an actual solution that can uphold the values of law and order the administration purports to stand for. I also want to emphasize and repeat that this is not just about Abrego Garcia. Naturally, the administration wants the debate to be contained to his case because they believe they can frame him as one of the bad illegals. I'm not going to sit here and give you Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's "Kilmar is all of us" speech. I'm genuinely amazed at how bad Democrats' messaging can be. But the administration is not just targeting people who are here illegally. As I highlighted earlier this month, they are already sweeping up permanent U.S. residents, immigrants with legal visas and papers. Not only that, but U.S. citizens are being caught up in the government's dragnet too. During the meeting with Bukele, Trump was caught on a hot mic suggesting we could start sending our homegrown to El Salvador too. Trump then confirmed to the press on camera that he was looking to send U.S. citizens to the prison and wanted 5 more prisons built to accommodate them.
Homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
I just want to put all of this down clearly. The Trump administration is arguing that they cannot grant due process to every person due to resource and logistical constraints. They are also arguing that someone who ends up in a foreign prison because of the government's own actions or mistakes is beyond their reach. Some of the people they are deporting have not been accused of any crimes, and now they are suggesting they might start using this same process on U.S. citizens. If you put all of that together and don't get extremely alarmed, then you are not paying attention. Given all this, I've been extremely critical of the Trump administration, both in Tangle and on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, on this YouTube channel, which has naturally invited accusations that the nonpartisan news guy suddenly caught a terrible case of Trump derangement syndrome, or that I'm suddenly showing my true colors as a partisan hack. On the contrary, I think I'm seeing things with a great deal of clarity. In some alternative reality, the Trump administration is winning court cases 9-0 and protecting American citizens from a dangerous invasion. In this reality, they're violating Supreme Court orders to deport people who don't have criminal records. They're deporting people against standing court orders, and they're violating the rights and privacy of U.S. citizens. There is nothing partisan about saying true things that might violate the way people see the world or prefer it to be. The discussion shouldn't be about whether I'm suddenly a partisan hack. It should be about why someone like me, who is usually measured and moderate, is suddenly sounding the alarm bells. For context, I was angry when President Biden was trying to create the disinformation governance board. Now, Trump is snatching college students off the street for op-eds they wrote. I was angry when we learned the Biden administration was pressuring Facebook to take down posts it deemed dangerous to public health. Now, Trump is using AI to monitor people's social media activity, forcing U.S. citizens to hand over their phones at points of entry. Shoot, I was even critical of Biden for pursuing student loan relief through executive action. Imagine if he had actually ignored the court orders that stopped him. And that was when he was trying to cancel student debt, not send people to a foreign gulag. So yes, Trump inherited a serious crisis we need to solve. Millions of unauthorized migrants are still in our country, and millions of them came in under Biden. Yes, solving this problem is a major logistical and resource challenge, and it's why Biden deserves ample criticism for failing to take action while millions of people illegally cross the border in a short period of time. But no, we should not forfeit due process and violate court orders and fundamentally undermine the American project of liberty to try and solve those problems. We should not allow this current administration or any other future administration to become the arbiter of when rules need or do not need to be followed. If we open that door, then any one of us could be marched right through it. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. As a reminder, this is the Tangle YouTube channel. You can press subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment, let us know what you think. We're always happy to engage with people who agree or disagree. And of course, don't be shy to share this video. Press that like button. It's a good way to teach the algorithm that you like what we're doing here. We'll see you soon. Peace.